John down in Miami, he said, I know you've been tough on Miami for blowing it down the stretch last season, but don't you think it's too harsh to call 10 wins a wasted season? Yes, John, I do think it would be harsh if I called last year a wasted season. I didn't say it was a wasted season. I said they wasted Cam Ward. They wasted the opportunity to do something much bigger and better. So my stance on this is Cam Wards don't come around very often, anywhere, Miami included. That is a generational talent, number 1 overall pick in the draft, and when you get him dropped in your lap, you ought to do more than just win 10 games. You ought to be playing for the conference title, and you ought to be in the playoff. And there was no excuse for Miami not to be in one or the other last year. But they dropped the ball because their defense was terrible. And the thing about it is it wasn't terrible out of the gate. It got terrible. Now, John said I've been too harsh on that take. Okay, well, here's what I would ask you. If the head coach at Miami looks at you and says the same thing, are you going to accuse him of being too harsh? In fairness, John, I sat on this question from you until we went and talked to Mario, which we did last Thursday. I'm going to have Colin in just a second play a clip from our conversation with him that will air on the channel tomorrow morning because I said the exact same thing to him. So here's what the head coach at Miami had to say. It just reminds me how conflicted I felt watching you guys last year. I'm watching Cam Ward do his thing. I'm watching you guys score 35, 40, 45 points every week. But I'm also saying they better score 35 or 40 or 45 because it's needed because you're having trouble stopping the other team.
We lost our way. That's what happened. And it came in the form of communication, alignment, and assignment, which the simplicity of that makes you play fast. So we went from playing fast and physical to being uncertain and losing a step and playing slow and looking confused. And it was painful because that's a generational offense. I mean, that was made for TV type of stuff right there. And at the very end, again, we're there, okay? That might as well be this. You're not there, you're not there. And we recognize that.
It's not harsh. Their goal's not to win 10 games down there. Now, John, you can say that, and you can also acknowledge there's a lot of progress that's been made down there. So I'm not ignorant enough to have already forgotten where Miami was when Mario got there. When he got there, they were a laughingstock. And so there's 5 wins the first year. There's 7 wins the second year. There's 10 wins the third year. If you just believe in linear progress, Miami's your program. Let me cut in really quick and ask, look, prayer hands, please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And if you think you're subscribed, check and make sure. Over 50% of you aren't. It's free, it doesn't sign you up for anything, and it helps us keep the show free, college football year-round, the way God intended it. All right, back to the clip. Because they're headed in straight line, right up, year 1, year 2, year 3. And it's a big deal that they're back in double-digit win territory. It's a big deal that you can't have the conversation about the college football playoff preseason odds without having Miami in it. That's a wonderful thing. Those are conversations they were not in. I'm down there a fair amount. I know how it felt when he first got there. I know how it feels now. It's night and day. A lot of the guys who started on that first Miami team wouldn't be on his 2 deep right now. So they've replenished their roster. They've attacked in recruiting. They've attacked via the portal. But let me tell you something. You can do all of that. But when Cam Ward comes along, that's a different type of athlete. And you had him. You had him just like LSU had Jaden Daniels 2 years ago, and you accomplished some good things, but you should have accomplished great things. And things that had nothing to do with your offense kept you from that. So whose fault is that? Well, it's not. It's everybody's fault. It's on Mario. It's on Lance Guidry, who's not there anymore. It's on players who don't execute. It's on players not being put in a position to execute by the coaching staff. So they addressed all of it. Like, they made moves. So you went and got Carson Beck out of the portal, and you hope that you'll be able to saddle him up and ride him this year. And the difference is your defense doesn't let you down. But it's got to be a lesson learned because you can't go back in time and change it. But I don't think it's too harsh to call that out. John, I would ask you this. I assume you're a Miami fan. Did you watch the Syracuse game or the Georgia Tech game last year? Did you watch the Cal game, for that matter, last year, and sit there and say, this is okay, this is fine? Of course you didn't. There's no way. Either you don't have a pulse, like you don't have a heart beating inside of you that really cares about Miami football if you sat there and just said, yeah, this is okay. Because I can promise you that coaching staff didn't feel that way. Nobody in that building felt that way. So, no, if they felt that way, it's not too harsh for someone on the outside of the building to feel the same way. For the record, preseason odds, Miami plus 440 at FanDuel right now to win the ACC this year. We'll see. We'll see. Carson Beck and DJ Lagway, two guys that I had at least questions about in spring. Lagway's not throwing much at Florida in spring. Beck can't go through spring because he's hurt. And now both of those guys are throwing, and both of those guys look like they'll be good to go week one. So there's that.